One fact about every NBA scoring champion. 1947, Joe Fulks, averaging 23.2 points per game, the first scoring champ in NBA history and the first scoring champ to win a title in the same season. 1948, Mag Zaslofsky, averaging 21 points per game, the lowest scoring average to win a scoring champion. Now at this time, the league title was based on total points, not highest average like modern standards. So Joe had the higher average, but Max had the higher total points for the season. Max is the only retired scoring champ to not make the Hall of Fame, though technically you could include Carmelo Anthony in this fact, but I do think he might make the Hall of Fame in the future. 1949, George Mikan, 28.3 points per game, the first center to win this award and the second scoring champ to win a full NBA title in the same season. 1950, George Mikan, 27.4 points per game, the first back-to-back scoring champ. 1951, George Mikan again, 28.4 points per game, the first three-peat scoring champ. 1952, Paul Arizin, 25.4 points per game, the first scoring champ to lead the league in field goal percentage, minutes played, games played, and points per game all at once. 1953, Neil Johnston, 22.3 points per game. Of the scoring champ winners, he had the biggest jump in scoring from the previous season. In 1952, he averaged just 6 points per game. In 1953, he averaged 22.3 points per game. This is a 16.3 point per game increase. 1954, Neil again, 24.4 points per game. During this season, Neil had the last 50-point game in the pre-shot clock era. There were 7 50-point games in the pre-shot clock era. 1955, Neil Johnston a third time, 22.7 points per game. Neil is the first scoring champ during the shot clock era, proving that it wasn't just a lack of a shot clock that allowed him to score on the regular. He also won a rebounding champ during this season. 1956, Bob Pettit, 25.7 points per game, the first scoring champ to win an MVP in the same season. 1957, Paul Arizin, 25.6 points per game, the first player to win this award multiple times, that's not consecutively. 1958, George Yardley, 27.8 points per game, the first player to score over 2,000 points in a single season. 1959, Bob Pettit, 29.2 points per game, the second scoring champ to also win MVP in the same season. Of course, he was also the first. 1960, Wilt Chamberlain, 37.6 points per game, the first rookie to win a scoring title and the third player to win an MVP and a scoring title in the same season. Or technically second player if Bob Pettit only counts once. 1961, Wilt Chamberlain, 38.4 points per game, the first back-to-back scoring champ to average over 30 points per game. 1962, Wilt Chamberlain, 50.4 points per game. Not only is this the highest scoring average in NBA history, not only is Wilt's 100-point game during this season, Wilt Chamberlain's points per game never dipped below 45.6, a mark he reached after 23 games. Of course, this is the most points scored in a single season with 4,029. 1963, Wilt Chamberlain, 44.8 points per game, the first player to lead the league in scoring for 4 consecutive years, also the second most points scored in a single season with 3,586. 1964, Wilt Chamberlain, 36.9 points per game. During the month of November, Wilt averaged 41.6 points per game this season. The only other player not named Wilt to do this was Kobe Bryant, as he averaged 40 points per game during 4 different months in his career. 1965, you guessed it, Wilt Chamberlain, 34.7 points per game, the first player to win a scoring title on 2 different teams being traded mid-season. 1966, yup, it's Wilt again, 33.5 points per game, the first scoring champ to win a scoring title playing for a completely new team. Although this one's a little bit semantical if you want to count last season as this type of fact. 1967, Wilt, no, I'm kidding, it's Rick Barry this time. Wilt stopped at 7. Rick Barry averaged 35.6 points per game, the first player to win a scoring title in both the NBA and the ABA. 1968, Dave Bing, 27.1 points per game. While Dave Bing technically won the scoring title this year, Oscar Robertson actually had the higher scoring average at 29.2 points per game, but Dave had more total points at 2,142 versus Oscar's 1,896. During this time, the total points per season mattered more than the average. 1969, nice, Elvin Hayes, 28.4 points per game, the only rookie not named Wilt to win a scoring title in year 1. 1970, Jerry West, 31.2 points per game. This was the season in which the winner was changed from most total points to now having the highest scoring average while at least playing 50 58 games or 70% of the season. 1971, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 31.7 points per game, the first scoring champ to win a scoring title, regular season MVP, and a ring within his second season. 1972, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 34.8 points per game, the first scoring champ to win back-to-back regular season MVPs and back-to-back scoring titles. 1973, Nate Tiny Archibald, 34 points per game. Nate also averaged 11.4 assists this season, making him the first and only player to win a scoring title and assist title in the same season. 1974, Bob McAdoo, 30.6 points per game. He came up in second in MVP voting despite dropping 3.3 blocks, 15.1 rebounds on 55% shooting. For reference, Kareem won MVP this season. 1975, Bob McAdoo, 34.5 points per game, and this season he finally won MVP, at the time being the second youngest player to win it at the age of 23. 1976, Bob McAdoo, a third time, 31.1 points per game. Not only did he come up second in MVP voting yet again, this season he didn't make All-NBA despite winning a scoring title and coming in second in MVP voting. 1977, Pistol Pete Maravich, 31.1 points per game, the first scoring champ to miss the playoffs as the Jazz did not make the postseason this season. 1978, George Gervin, 27.2 points per game, the first scoring champ to play all 82 games, and he needed 59 points in his last game of the season to win the title. He ended up dropping 63 in that game. 1979, George Gervin, 29.6 points per game. Not only did he win 2 scoring titles in a row, he came second in MVP voting for 2 years in a row. 1980, George Gervin, a third time, 33.1 points per game, the first scoring champ to win the title in the three-point era. He made 32 threes on 102 attempts this season. 1981, Adrian Dantley, 30.7 points per game. Since the ABA-NBA merger, he is only one of 2 players to average over 30 points per game in 4 consecutive seasons, the other being Michael Jordan. 1982, George Gervin, a fourth time, 32.3 points per game. George has the most scoring titles not named Michael Jordan or Wilt Chamberlain, and in this season he outed Magic Johnson to make All-NBA first team. 1983, Alex English, 28.4 points per game. Alex played all 82 games this season, and from 1981 to 1989, he only missed just 4 regular season games while averaging over 24 points per game within these years. 1984, Adrian Dantley, 30.6 points per game, and this season he played 79 games, one less game than his first scoring title season in which he played 80 games. Had he played one more game, and had he scored 34 points in said game, he would have had the exact same scoring average on the nose with the exact same point total. In 1981, he scored 2,452 points. In 1984, he scored 2,418 points. 1985, Bernard King with 32.9 points per game. Rookie Michael Jordan actually led the season in total points that season with 2,313 versus King's 1,809, but Bernard had the highest average at 32.9 points per game versus Jordan's 28.2. 1986, Dominique Wilkins, 30.3 points per game, the first scoring champ to be born outside of the United States as Dominique was born in France. 1987, Michael Jordan, 37.1 points per game. Jordan became the first player in NBA history to record 200 steals and 100 block shots in a season this season. He also got the most points in a single season not named Wilt, scoring 3,041 points in 1987. 1988, Michael Jordan, 35 points per game, the first player to win a scoring title while winning Defensive Player of the Year. 1989, Michael Jordan, 32.5 points per game, the last season of the coach Doug Collins era. Yes, this is also the test point guard season, as Jordan was playing temporary point guard. He famously had an 11-game stretch during the season in which he averaged a triple-double at the 1 spot. 1990, Michael Jordan, 33.6 points per game, and this season MJ scored a single-game career high at 69 nice points. 1991, you guessed it, MJ, 31.5 points per game. This is Michael's 5th scoring title, but his first actual NBA title season. 1992, you know who, 30.1 points per game. MJ won MVP, led the league in usage rate at 31.67% this season. For context, during last season, 2024, 6 players had a higher usage rate than MJ, above 32%. 1993, it's still he, 32.6 points per game. This is MJ's 7th scoring title, which ties Wilt Chamberlain for the most in NBA history. 1994, David Robinson, 29.8 points per game. In order to win this award, the Admiral had to drop 71 points in the final regular season game. Had he not have that amazing game, Shaq would have won the award this year. Speaking of which, 1995, Shaquille O'Neal, 29.3 points per game. Shaq eventually got to the program, but he got swept in the finals. 1996, guess who's back? 30.4 points per game, the scoring champ with the second best NBA record at 72-10, and this is his 8th scoring title, which means Michael Jordan surpasses Wilt for the most scoring titles. 1997, I wonder who this could be, 29.6 points per game, MJ's 9th scoring title. During this season, Jordan surpassed Kareem for the most consecutive games of at least 10 points. He beat Kareem's streak of 787. Jordan's streak ended at 866 10-point games. Today, LeBron holds the record with 1,222 and counting. Give the man a dime. 1998, Michael Jordan, 28.7 points per game, MJ's 10th scoring title, the most in NBA history, and he became the oldest player to win a scoring title, doing so at the age of 35. 1999, Allen Iverson, 26.8 points per game. At a listed 6 feet tall, AI is the shortest scoring champ in NBA history. 2000, Shaquille O'Neal, 29.7 points per game, the most recent player to win a scoring title and a ring in the same season. Since then, Allen Iverson in 2001, Kevin Durant in 2012, Steph in 2016, and Luka in 2024 all won scoring titles but lost in the finals. Speaking of which, 2001, Allen Iverson, 31.1 points per game, the answer's second scoring title, and of course this season he led the 76ers to the finals but lost to Shaq. 2002, Allen Iverson, 31.4 points per game. This may be AI's best scoring title season at 31.4 points per game, but it's not his best scoring season. That was in 2006 when he averaged 33 points per game, but he lost the scoring title award to Kobe that year. 2003, Tracy McGrady, 32.1 points per game. At the time, T-Mac had the highest offensive box plus minus of scoring title winners at 9.83. This later got overtaken by 2016 Steph Curry at 10.35. 2004, T-Mac again, 28 points per game, the worst record for a scoring champ in the modern era. The 2004 Orlando Magic went 21-61, the worst record at the NBA at the time, dead last despite having a scoring champ on their team. 2005, Allen Iverson, 30.7 points per game. Of Iverson's scoring title wins, this season he played the most games at 75 of them. He has 2 82-season games, but he didn't win scoring titles in those seasons. 2006, Kobe Bryant, 35.4 points per game. In this season alone, Kobe has 6 50-plus point games. That is more than Tim Duncan, Clyde Drexler, Paul Pierce, Reggie Miller, and Hakeem Olajuwon all have in their entire careers. 2007, Kobe Bryant again, 31.6 points per game. During this season, Kobe had a 4-game streak of 50 points or more, and on his 5th game, he dropped just 43 points. He jokingly said he had an off night that night. 2008, LeBron James, 30 points per game. Despite having the most points in NBA history, this is LeBron's only scoring title, winning at age 23 in just one of 2 30-point per game seasons so far. He doesn't have another 30-point per game season until 2 decades later in 2022 at the age of 37. 2009, Dwayne Wade, 30.2 points per game. In 2009, Wade had a 13-game stretch in which he averaged 37.2 points per game, 10.4 assists per game, and 5.9 rebounds per game. 2010, Kevin Durant, 30.1 points per game. KD became the youngest player to win the scoring title at age 21. 2011, KD, 27.7 points per game. Durant is the first scoring champ to win the scoring title without leading his team in usage rate. Durant's usage rate was 30.6%. Westbrook had a higher usage rate at 31.6%. 2012, Kevin Durant a third time, 28 points per game. Durant became the second scoring champ to win a title without leading his team in usage rate. It belonged to his teammate Westbrook. KD's usage rate was 31.3% this season. Russell's was 32.7%. 2013, Carmelo Anthony, 28.7 points per game. Anthony led the league in scoring, finished third in MVP voting, and had their first playoff series win in 12 years. He also stopped LeBron from being the first unanimous MVP. 2014, Kevin Durant, 32 points per game. Durant is the third scoring champ to win a scoring title without leading his team in usage rate. Durant's usage rate this season was 33%. Westbrook's usage rate was 34.4%. This has only happened to Kevin Durant, and it happened 3 times. Speaking of which, 2015, Russell Westbrook, 28.1 points per game. The Thunder had back-to-back scoring champs from 2 completely different players. It was KD in 2014, now Russ in 2015, an NBA first. Also for context, Durant is still a Thunder in 2015. 2016, Steph Curry, 30.1 points per game. Yeah, we all know this is the 73-9 Warriors in the unanimous MVP season, but did you know that this is the first scoring title winner to shoot shoot 50-40-90. That's 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. 2017, Russell Westbrook, 31.6 points per game, the first scoring champ to average a triple-double, also the highest usage rate in NBA history this season at 41.6%. 2018, James Harden, 30.4 points per game. During this season, James Harden had a higher free throw attempt average than he had a field goal made average. 2019, James Harden, 36.1 points per game. This is the highest scoring average for a scoring champion in NBA history who's not named Wilt Chamberlain or Michael Jordan. Of course, Elgin Baylor has a higher scoring average at 38 points per game, but he never won a scoring title. This is also the second highest usage rate in NBA history at 40.47%. 2020, James Harden, 34.3 points per game. Harden became the first scoring title winner to make more free throws with 692 of them than field goals at 672 of them. 2021, Steph Curry, 32 points per game, the latest scoring champ to miss the playoffs. The Warriors had a record of 39-33, making the play-in tournament but flopped during that event. They were 9th in the West for context. 2022, Joel Embiid, 30.6 points per game, the first international player to win a scoring title as Joel is from Cameroon. He also became the first center to average over 30 points per game since Moses Malone in 1982. 2023, Joel Embiid again, 33.1 points per game, the most recent scoring champ to also win an MVP in the same season. 2024, Luka Doncic, 33.9 points per game. Since the NBA-ABA merger, Luka now has the highest scoring average for a single season if you remove points scored through free throws. This season, without free throws, he averaged 27 points per game. Second place here is 1987 Michael Jordan at 26.9 points per game. So here was one fact about every NBA scoring champ. Let me know which scoring title season was your favorite and who you think is going to win the scoring title for this upcoming season. Don't forget to dunk on that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Rebound Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.